Fish production is important in Zambia for employment, earnings, and as a source of food. Zambia has potential for further development of aquaculture. Zambia is among the major aquaculture producers of sub-Saharan Africa, with estimated production exceeding 8,500 tons per year. Various fish farming practices are used, and culture is carried out on small scale, smallholder, and commercial level. Hello everybody, welcome to today's edition of AgriBusiness, a program that brings you news and interviews on agricultural trends and development shaping Zambia's agro destiny. This is AgriBusiness once more, coming to you from Prime Television Zambia in Lusaka. And I'm Pundu Mwape, talking to you from Lusaka. And in today's edition of AgriBusiness, we will look at aquaculture. You know, there are some people who would like to go into fish farming, but it is important to know what type of equipment, what type of tools one needs to have before he embarks upon that journey. These are the rest in details. Since aquaculture has great potential to feed and nourish the world's growing population, growth, be it at small scale, smallholder, or commercial level, must be sustained here at home through a reliable fish farming partner to supply aquaculture equipment and materials. But before anything else, transfer of knowledge is critical for successful fish farming.
Especially clients that are just starting, we advise that they undergo training because it is very important to have first-hand information from experienced people or from well-trained people. So fish farming is not a business that you can just venture into by what you heard from other people. It is a business that requires full knowledge about it, as well as having knowledge about the products and equipment that are needed. So we advise that clients that plan to start their fish farming projects undergo training so that they understand fish itself, the water, as well as any other material that are needed for fish growth. Yes, so I advise everyone wishing to start up their fish farming journey to undergo training. Yes.
You have space to provide that to the farmers here?
Yes, we do have space. We offer group trainings as well as individual trainings. Yes, and we also offer site visits for free so that we accommodate each and every fish farmer as a way of encouraging them. Yes, so we get on site. If there's a problem, we help them deal with the problem. So that is really encouraging because a lot of farmers started and they ended up giving up because they failed. They had no one to monitor.
In training, one becomes eager to apply the knowledge gained in fish farming techniques. That application of knowledge starts with land, whose interpretation is of vital importance to the beginner.
A number of things that you should consider when you want to start fish farming. Okay, so number one is land. You need to have land, and we recommend you that to have your own land, not the rented one, because there are some times when you have to dig and so on. So that's the number one thing. You need to have land when you want to start fish farming.
Choosing the right location for your fish farm is crucial for the success of your business. Consider factors such as the availability of water. Water is a resource in which life for any living creature is preserved. An entire life of this wonder of creation, from whose existence an estimated 25,000 fishers and another 30,000 in fish processing and trading derive their livelihood directly from fishing and fisheries-related activities, is dependent on water.
You need to have water, availability of water. Okay, so fish lives in water. So you need to have water throughout the year, the cycle. So you must make sure that you have water. So the recommended water is underground water. If you are near a stream, that's fine. If the stream is not contaminated, you can use stream water. Rivers can be used and so on. So you need access to water, even as you want to start your fish farming.
Starting a fish farming business can be capital intensive, and it is important to have a solid financing plan in place. Ensure that you have a realistic financial plan that takes into account the initial investment and the ongoing operating costs of the farm.
You need capital as you want to venture into fish farming. It's a very profitable venture, but it's also capital intensive. So you need to prepare yourself as you enter into this business, that you are able to buy your feeds, because fish needs to feed every day, just like human beings. So you don't need to starve it. Yeah, so you need to prepare, you need to find out what things you need.
A profitable fish farming business demands one to be equipped with some basic knowledge on, among other factors, site selection, and many others that may include understanding the soils on which a fish pond can be located.
The other one I could talk about is basic knowledge. You need to have some basic knowledge on how to keep fish, even as you want to venture into fish farming. So you need a training, a simple training in fish farming. How do you grow your fish? How do you feed? How do you maintain the water quality? How do you know that your fish is sick? So you all need some basics, just like in other ventures, especially in fish farming. Since fish lives in water, you need to have some knowledge. When the fish is sick, it's a bit difficult to inject it. Unlike when you're keeping pigs, you are able to inject and so on. So you need to have some knowledge on how to keep the fish farming. And the knowledge is easily accessible. That's why we are here, to provide that knowledge. I think these are some of the most important things that you need to know when you want to start fish farming. Yes.
Now the siting itself, where do you really place your pond? One, it could be near the trees, near the anthills. What kind of land? Is it slopish land?
Yeah.
Just elaborate on that.
Sure. So site selection is also very important. You just not wake up and say, no, I'll put my pond on this area, No, you have to consider a number of things when you are selecting where to put your fish pond. Okay, so there are a number of things also you have to put into consideration. Does that area flood? Okay, so areas that are flooded are not normally recommended. Still, we can still work around with it, but they become so expensive, and it can sometimes be a risk. So check where you are putting your pond. Does the area flood? How far is it from the market where you want to put that pond? How far is it? How easy? Because fish get spoiled quickly. Once it dies, it begins to spoil. Okay, so you need to have quick access to the market, quick access to the road, to the road network. So you also have to consider all these things. So if you have a number of farms, you need to consider which one is a bit near to the road, which one is a bit near to the market. Okay, so those are the things you consider also as you are planning to venture into fish farming or constructing a fish pond. The other thing that you would consider is
What about near the trees? It's recommended.
Okay, so the fish pond needs to be, it's not supposed to be actually near the trees, okay, because the trees will give shade. It needs to have access to the sun. The sun is so important to the fish. Yeah, so for oxygen and the like, so it needs an open area so that there is access of oxygen. So we don't recommend you to put your fish pond near a lot of trees. Actually, also the roots do damage the dikes, the holes of the fish ponds. Okay, so you're not normally recommended to put your fish pond near there's a number of reasons actually. Also, you know, the science during the night, the plants are also taking in oxygen. The trees are taking in oxygen, so there's that competition. So it's better you put it in a clear land. That's one thing that we do once we are constructing a fish pond. We clear the land. Yes.
Now let's look at the soil. There are certain soils that clay,
Yes.
sandy.
Yes.
Anything about that one?
Yeah. So the soil also are important when you want to consider where to put your fish pond. But nowadays they are not so much a challenge. Okay, because we have a pond liner where you can put a pond liner. If your soil is unable to hold water, you can put a pond liner. You can also put concrete. Yeah. So if you are planning to make an FN pond where you don't put a pond liner, where you don't put concrete, you need the soils that will hold water, clay soil. Yeah, so areas that have clay soil, they can go on without putting the pond liners. But if you don't have clay soil, don't worry. We have pond liners. Which
What
we're
is
able to
this
hold.
pond liner?
Okay, pond liners are materials that you place in a fish pond to hold water. So these fish pond liners should be UV treated, okay, so that they can last for long. So they are able to last 5 to 8 years and so on, depending with the quality that you are getting. So the principle is to store water. There must be water throughout your pond. Yes.
Who treats that material? Is it a farmer or is it straight from the manufacturer?
Straight from the manufacturer. Yes, it's not the farmer. It's actually straight from the manufacturer. So they treat it against the heat sun, so that can withstand the heat sun. Yes.
Do they also treat against the water, that it can stand the water pressure?
Yes. So these are also
doesn't rot.
It doesn't rot. So they are also, these are durable materials. They don't rot. They don't get rot. Sure. So they are also treated they are suitable for fish.
What is the recommended size of a pond for a beginner?
Okay. So if we are talking we are talking fish farming in terms of fish farming as a business. Okay, so I would recommend a 20 by 30 if you want to start it as a business. Okay, so a 20 by 30 is a good size for you to start for a business. That is 600 square meter, because it will be able to carry fish of about 6,000 fish in that pond. We're able to stock 6,000 fish in that pond. So even a bit less than that, it's okay. But that's a recommended size for one wants to start it as a business. But if you want to start it just to learn, to have some experience, you are free to go even for 10 by 10, 5 by 5, and so on.
I have seen some of the fish ponds. They are kept away from where there's human activity. Is there any reason for that?
There could be some reason, maybe pollution. Yeah, because fish is very sensitive to chemicals. Okay, so where there's so much chemicals, farming and the like, so it's very sensitive to chemicals, so we have to avoid chemicals. If we can avoid chemicals, also other things that we consider security wise, yeah, so that's why maybe people would put it away from where there's so much human activity for security reason, and also to avoid the pollutions of the water. Yes.
So it is so interesting that you push it very far away from the human activity. What about when isn't it that you are now pushing it right onto the doorstep of the predators?
Yeah. So what we
do you
mean
know
like
about that?
pushing it away from activity, even as you are sighting your fish pond, okay, it must be in an area whereby the one that is taking care, the caretaker or yourself, must be near. Okay, the house of the caretaker or the people that are taking care of that fish pond, they must be near. They must be able to see what is happening. Yeah, so the caretakers should be near so that they can be able to see what is happening. Is there theft? Is the fish dying? You know, the birds. Yeah, so we recommend that you put your pond where your farm workers or yourself, you are able to access it easily.
And then the most common fingerling that one should go for, the type?
Okay, so we have a number of species in Zambia. Yes, we have the Andersoni, the Niloticus, and so on. I would recommend the Niloticus. Niloticus is a very good fish. It is resistance to diseases. It's a bream. Okay, tilapia is resistant to bream. It grows faster than any other some local species that we have, but it has also some restriction because in the northern part it's not recommended, it's not allowed to keep it. Okay, so there are other species also which do well, but need a good management, such as Andersoni. Andersoni is a free spotted bream. It has free spots bream.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are talking about breams. Okay, so catfish also does well, but also we are talking about you need to have some knowledge on how to manage it. Yes.
And when does the harvest come?
Harvest normally with good management comes after 6 months. Yes, after 6 months. But if you buy your fish, if you buy your fingerlings, or when they are big, maybe 10 grams, so it means you are reducing the number of months. You may harvest at 4 months, 5 months, because you bought juveniles. Yes, so it also depends the size of fish that you are. Normally people will tell you 6 months, 6 months. But what about that one who is buying them at the juvenile stage? Yeah, or the one who's buying them when they're still very small. So that one who's buying them when they're too very small, the fries, we call them the fries. So it will take him or her a longer period.
Fish farming can contribute to rural development by providing employment opportunities, generating income, and contributing to food security in rural communities. For this rural development to take place, fish farming, which is different from traditional fishing, has its own fishing equipment, which include a variety of tools and devices used to manage the fish farming operation. And one of the tools which would be most useful for a beginner to acquire is an aerator.
So first of all, you need an aerator. So an aerator is simply a machine or an equipment that supplements the level of oxygen in the water. So in the water, there's already oxygen, but it is not enough. So now we need to supplement so that the fish can have enough oxygen for it to grow very well. Yes, so that's the importance of an aerator.
So the one would have no problem to have an aerator even when he lives far away from towns where there's electricity.
Okay, no, they wouldn't, because aerators come in both electrical and solar. Yes, so there are different types of aerators as well as sizes, depending on the size of the pond that a fish farmer has. So we have aerators that can aerate very big ponds, as well as aerators that can aerate small tanks as well as aquariums.
Okay.
Yes.
Zambia's climatic seasons, which are highly considered favorable for agriculture production, cannot entirely be of no harm to the fish farming known as aquaculture, which is a practice of breeding, raising, and harvesting fish in the tanks or ponds for commercial purposes.
So during winter, it's usually cold, and when it is cold, it means the temperature in water is very low. So temperature is well connected with oxygen. In an environment where there is low temperature, that means the oxygen level is also very low. So during winter, there is a slow growth of fish. That is why we do not advise farmers to stock their fish in winter. Yes, so this happens, I can try to explain the chemistry of water. So during the cold season, usually we do not have sunlight. And in water is in form of a molecule. So if there's no sunlight, then the water molecule will not be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen. So that is going to make the oxygen in water very low. But in the presence of the sunlight, that water molecule will be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen, which is going to increase the level of oxygen in water. And the fish will grow very well because they will feed more. And when fish is feeding more, then the growth will be very fast. So we usually advise clients to stock their fish in summer when it is warm because the temperatures are very high, which is good for fish.
While traditional farming involves catching fish in the wild, fish farming involves raising fish in a controlled environment. With this type of fishing method, it is important not to miss out on some of the recommended tools and devices used to manage the fish farming operation.
Yes, sir. So you also need to have a scoop net.
A scoop net?
Yes, a scoop net. So a scoop net is simply a net that has a long handle. It's very small and easy to operate. It's going to help you clean the pond. So with a scoop net, you can remove out some dead fish because there are times when you experience mortalities in a case where your oxygen levels are very low. So with a scoop net, you can scoop out that dead fish. You can scoop out the leaves that are on top of the pond. You can scoop out the feed that is not consumed, and you can also scoop out any debris that might affect the growth of fish or change the water quality. So that equipment is very important. So you also need to have a cast net. So a cast net is simply a small net that is thrown into the pond. You have to cast it and pour it so that you get just a desirable number of fish. Not all of it, but just a small number. So with a cast net, you can use it to sample weigh your fish. Sample weighing is simply trying to find the average weight of the fish. So finding the average weight of the fish will help you when to change the feed, and it will also help you to monitor the growth of fish. The cast net will also help you to make partial harvest. For example, you're a fish farmer and there's only one client that has to buy your fish. So instead of draining your pond completely and harvesting all of them, you only cast so that you just get fish of your desirable quantity that will fit one client. So that is also very important to have.
Oh, great.
Yes.
The next item?
Okay, so as a fish farmer, you also need to have a drag net.
A drag net?
Yes, a drag net. So with a drag net, you can make a complete harvest. For example, you want to crop out everything. You've come to the end of your fish farming cycle, and now you want to sell everything. So you drain your water and you use a drag net to drag out all the fish out of the pond. Yes, so drag nets come in different sizes depending on your size of the pond as well. Yes. So one thing I forgot to mention on the water quality, you'd also need to have a pH meter as well as an ammonia meter. So with a pH meter, you can monitor the level of pH The desirable range, or the recommended, is 6 to 8. So your pH should be between that. Yes, so if it goes below 6, that's an indication of an acidic environment, which is very bad for fish, of which if you do not correct it, then there will be some fish diseases that can make your fish die or not to feed. Then if it goes above 8, that means that's an indication of alkaline environment. Yes, so with a pH meter, it will be very easy for you to tell the level of pH in your water. Then ammonia meter will help you to measure the level of ammonia. Ammonia is the level of toxicity in your water. So this is usually brought about by the unconsumed feed. For example, a farmer is throwing more than the fish needs, so the fish will only consume what it needs, and then the rest of the feed settles at the bottom, which makes the water very dirty, as well as the environment very acidic. So with an ammonia meter, you can know the level of ammonia in your fish pond, and you can take up measures that will help you correct that error. Yes.
And then we have the paddies with aerator.
Yes.
That aerator. What's the difference between the other one that we have
Okay.
seen?
So the two-pedal wheel aerator is an electrical aerator.
Oh.
So with a two-pedal wheel, you can aerate a pond that is of size 20 by 30 because it's very big and powerful. It usually comes in 3 phases. Yes, it's more like an industrial aerator. So that's what makes it powerful.
Well, that's all we had for you for today. I hope you have enjoyed the program, and I'm sure you want to put everything in order for you to start fish farming. This is Mpundu Mwape talking to you from AgriBusiness of the Prime Television Zambia in Lusaka. Until next time.